That's right, and let's continue this conversation about REITs, real estate investment trusts. To do just that, joining me now is Brad Thomas, the CEO of Moat Research and author of REITs for Dummies. Brad, it's great to have you on the show this morning, and let's just start off by talking about REITs for Dummies. What exactly are REITs? Why do they matter to our viewers?
It's good to see you again today, Kristen. REITs have been around since 1960, so this is not a new asset class. It's been around a long time. But the amazing thing we've seen, Kristen, is over the last decade, many new property sectors that have made their way to the REIT sector. Sectors that you never would have imagined, or at least for me wouldn't have imagined, I'll be covering today, like cell towers and data centers, casinos, and even cannabis. So we're seeing more and more companies, really property sectors, that are making their way to the REIT sector, which is really enhancing the overall broader diversification attributes for REITs. To not only give exposure to individual property sectors like healthcare or multifamily or retail or cannabis, as I mentioned, but also geographic diversification, being able to build a portfolio across many geographies, all 50 states, as well as Europe or international markets as well. So REITs are now a mainstream asset class, Kristen, and every investor should consider owning some percentage of their portfolio in REITs.
I'm curious to know the technicalities, Brad, too, in terms of what dividends usually go along with some of these investments, and additionally, how the interest rate policy set by the Fed impacts them.
Absolutely. So again, REITs have been around since 1960, as I mentioned, and one of the main attributes of this law is that these companies, these real estate companies or landlords, must pay out at least 90% of their taxable income in the form of dividends. In fact, most of these REITs pay out closer to 100% of their net income in taxable income in the form of dividends. So that's really one of the major attributes and what makes this asset class extremely attractive, because of the higher yields. Traditional C corporations, as you know, aren't forced to pay out dividends to investors. They could or they couldn't, but REITs must pay out dividends. So that makes, especially for retirees and people living on fixed incomes, this is extremely attractive for investors because of these dividends. And I might add, one part of our research at Moat Research is to find companies, not only REITs, but companies that pay dividends that are sustainable. We like to see companies that have durable competitive advantages, and we see that in a lot of the real estate investment trusts, who are able to generate very predictable dividends because they obtain income from a variety of their customers or tenants. And that makes these business models, for the most part, extremely sustainable. Now, there are business models or property sectors that are more challenged, for example, the office sector today. But overall, we're seeing REITs continue to pay out dividends to investors and increase those dividends, and that's extremely important. Now, to your second point, we think the rate environment is extremely important. Of course, we've been waiting on rate cuts for quite a while in the REIT space, and that's one of the reasons REITs have not performed up until lately. So in September, we saw really outperformance in the REIT sector. REITs were up about 3.2% in September, and 16.8% in the third quarter. Year to date, 14.2%. So we're now seeing REITs finally catching this rally due to the rate cut, which is lowering the cost of capital for these companies and really, again, increasing their competitive advantages, allowing them to continue to generate dividend growth. And again, that's a key point here. So we do expect to see rates continuing to fall. In November, we'll probably see another quarter, maybe 50 basis points. And again, lowering that cost of capital more for REITs so they can generate wider investment spreads and generate more net income, of course, to deliver that dividend to the end user, which of course is the investor.
Brad, thank you so much for joining. Of course, you were here in March to celebrate the launch of iREIT, which you're a part of. We appreciate the time. He is the CEO of Moat Research.